great. I do want to introduce the newest announced candidate for mayor of Providence in 2018, Kobi Dennis. Kobi, you want to come on out? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, big news, running for mayor. Not going to be a dull next 18 months for you.
Not at all.
Talk about why are you running for mayor?
Oh boy, it all boils down to one thing: the community. Josh, I've been really, mulling over it as the news has said for a long time, but the community just keeps coming out and keeps saying, why don't you give it a try? We'd like to bring back the old days when Providence was just a good place to live, safe, fun. So we're trying to bring that back.
So I think Mayor Alorza won in a complicated race against Buddy Cianci in a very close race, and it seemed like a lot of the time that it was an anti-Buddy Cianci vote. He was a two-time convicted felon. He was 70-something years old, and people were looking for almost anything, ABC, anything but Cianci. But he got a fresh start, and he had an opportunity. Has he taken advantage of the opportunity that's been given him to serve people in Providence?
Absolutely. I think he's taken advantage. He had a great vantage point right now to come right in and do amazing things. He promised the world. He had me believe in him. I was actually a supporter in the beginning, and he had me believing, and he got the community to believe, and then he got right in and just forgot all about what the mission was. I mean, we're talking about community, infrastructure, services. Everything is lacking. We're still looking for a fire chief.
Yeah, I mean, we've functionally not had a fire chief, and I think in
Unreal.
two and a half years. There's a lot of, we live up on the east side, but obviously talk to folks all over the place. The east side came out for him in that election very, very strong. I think he won 80% of the vote. Anecdotally, I think people are frustrated with him. Crime is an issue on the east side, and it's a bigger problem and more violent problem in other sections of the city. How do you tackle those issues?
Well, first of all, if I was the average east side, I'd be livid right now because they actually did get him into the city hall. Everyone knows that. And sure enough, petty crime is big time up there. Breaking in the car, breaking and entering, things like that is really going rampant. And why is that? Because PPD is down to 399. They're about 390. They usually, Josh, at about 490. They've been like that for about a year. That's ridiculous. So we've been waiting. Oh, of course, now election season's coming. Now there's a recruiting class. I just saw that.
Yeah.
That's just such a coincidence. But I just think making sure we get more police classes out there. We definitely get more neighborhood watch programs, so on and so forth. So we definitely got to change the way and do some things.
Providence uniquely, too, is one of the only cities in the country that has more firefighters than police officers. And, is that something that can be reformed over the next few years?
Well, I know one thing. Sorry to cut you off, Josh. I know one thing. I will not go into the platoon change thing. I don't think Alorza knew a thing about anything about platoons. And I was in the military and know nothing about platoon changing, and I would not do that to the average firefighter. So what we're going to do is try to look at, per capita, how many firefighters we actually need in the city. How about doing that? How about bringing in the firefighters and talking to them about downsizing and in different ways? I really think it's about communication. No one's talking to us anymore. Ask the average citizen. When's the last time they've seen the mayor?
So one of the statistics we talk about a lot is you went to Central High School. Right now, and I'm pretty close on these, is that the ability to read at grade level is at 12%. Ability to achieve mathematics is at 9%. And in fairness to this mayor, that's been going on at Central for as long as I've lived in the city, since I was 7 years old. How do we change that? How do we make it equitable? It's not fair to anybody. First of all, it's not fair to the kids going through the school, and it's not fair to everybody else who's paying for that education, which is no cheaper than any other education in the state of Rhode Island.
That's a great point. No one understands that we actually are paying for it. It's not free. People think public schools are free. We're paying for it. What I would say, first of all, just like the infrastructure of the schools, the education is crumbling as well. And it's not just Central. Most of the public schools, as I said in the newspaper recently, I panhandle before I send my kids to a middle school here. It's that bad. I go into these schools. I teach a lot about anti-bullying. I speak about civil rights and so on and so forth. These schools are deplorable. So it's the education, it's the morale, it's everything. Absenteeism. And as you alluded to, the average kid that graduates from Central or Hope or Mount Pleasant, they go to CCRI and they're spending thousands on remedial courses. So it's just it's just not a good situation. So we're going to definitely try to change that.
I coached a lot of kids over at South Providence Rec who came out of Roger Williams Middle School.
Yeah.
That is a rough and tumble place.
Rough and
and
tough.
I don't think many parents would want to see their child's worst enemy go to Roger Williams Middle School.
Not at all. And that's my community, you know. I'm not talking about it or at it. I'm talking to it because I know it's something that I need to improve. But I'm serious. The average citizen does not want to send their kid there. Too bad that Providence people, you know, Providence citizens, they get a checklist and they get to choose out of 3 schools. You know, bad, worse,
Yeah.
really, really bad.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, and parents call me every day. This is how I know this. And I visit the schools. A lot of the kids in my programs are at these schools. They're not very happy. They come with no homework every day. And believe me, I'm not villainizing the teachers. Believe me, love the teachers. I love the staff, down to the janitors. But it's about the system, and we got to change it.
There's a reality to running for office, and I don't think it's as big a reality as some will make it out to be.
Right.
But you got to raise some money.
The money. Keep there, the money, yeah.
Now, in all honesty, listen, you know, we compete every day against major news organizations and do just fine because we've built an infrastructure of databases and are able to move content. Can you replicate a real grassroots movement and be able to compete for the mayor's race?
And that's what, first of all, by the way, I love this alternative news source. So we love it. Go local, let's go. It's a lot of good news. Yes, a grassroots movement. We are going to do one of epic proportion. We are going to get out there. We're going to beat the ground. We have people coming from everywhere calling me every day. They want to be a part of this. It's exciting. It's a movement. I have the 20-somethings. I have the millennials all talking about politics a year before. I mean, we have tens of thousands of people on my feeds, Josh, talking about running and let's go. And I'm not telling people, hey, vote for Kobi. I'm telling people, get out there and vote. Get involved. But yes, this is the first time the inner city communities are really going to write a check for a candidate. They haven't done that in years. So
can you Bernie Sanders this and get folks to give $5 a month for the next 18 months?
As I call it, hustling. I'm going to hustle as much as I can. I'm going to try to get these Bernie dollars and the Kobi bucks. So let's get going with your $5, $10. We'll take it all.
The mayor, I think, often gets criticized for not being hands-on. I think that's
Right.
we're told stories about that. We try not to beat him up on
Right.
sort of the insignificant, but you don't see him. Most events that he's at are very staged press conferences. Does that create an opportunity because people really don't know him on a first-name basis?
No, when I was taking him to the neighborhood, people literally did not know who he was. I mean, and he kept saying he's from Cranston Street and so on and so forth. I've never seen him. I was raised in Cranston Street, Buckland Park. All right, so never seen him. My friends never seen him. So just to get past that, he still had a chance to get out there.
Yeah.
You can walk around downtown. I was just walking here, Josh, and 3 kids from Johnson & Wales stopped me. Hey, you're running for mayor. This is what we're talking about. And I stopped and talked to them. I was almost late. So that's what we need.
I will say this, we were covering a press event up in City Hall about, he might have been in office for 3 or 4 months, and he could not pronounce Nunnaconnecut.
Wow.
And I think if you got to be mayor, you do have to be able to articulate each of the neighborhoods. We talked a little bit about the east side.
Yeah.
Let's go around the city a little bit. The south side is a very different place than people think it is. Southside's a very strong small business environment.
Absolutely.
Broad Street, there's more vacant stores on these sections of downtown Providence there are in storefronts vacant up there.
Right.
How do you tie the Latino community into the movement, and especially small business owners who are pretty conservative, want coverage on by the police, they want fire coverage, they want the streets to be safe, they want the roads to be paved because it's good for their business.
So that's exactly what you just named it all, services. I'm gonna, from everything from trash removal. I can promise them, better trash removal, better snow removal, more police officers, firefighters who shouldn't have to go answer to calls for homeless people every day. That's most of the firefighters' calls. And like I said, nothing against the firefighting profession at all, but they shouldn't be going to help out an intoxicated man on the street every other hour. I've seen it for myself, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll go up and down Broad Street promising the people, listen, things can get better. We need to collaborate, get together, try to fix up the storefronts, combine the city's funds with the local businesses' funds and try to, plant some trees, anything to try to rejuvenate the whole atmosphere of South Providence, West End. East Side's doing okay over there when it comes to the storefronts and properties, but why shouldn't they all look alike, Josh? They all should look alike.
We have a lot of restaurateurs who come up here from Federal Hill and say their business is off between 30 and 40% since the parking meters went up there. It seems like penny wise and pound foolish. We've seen an explosion in Cranston at Garden City.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, is it worth the dollars, $1 million or $2 million in parking meter fees? Is that a good trade-off to have parking meters and have the impact on small businesses?
It's not a good job. I may be new to this, but the job of a mayor is to improve the quality of life for the people that you're serving, okay? You need to improve. That is not improving the quality of life of the people. I don't even know who it's improving the quality of life for, but not us. We want to be able to park and go into a place and eat in our own communities without worrying about, like I had to today, and pay $10 to park because the parking, I didn't have change or a card on me, so on and so forth. So it's not helping out. You know, it's just the 700 meters. I don't know if that's which is worth, the 700 meters or the charity meters. Both of the ideas.
Giving meters, they're giving meters.
See, I don't even know the name.
Probably the most divisive issue that's hit Providence since Mayor Lors has come in has been his edict to the police department. Steve Brown's coming on next. He'll have a different opinion.
Sure.
To not enforce some previous ordinances related to panhandling and that, you know, former Mayor Paolino has been adamant about that negative impact that it's going to have. How do you fix that? How do you balance the civil rights issue coupled with the issue of quality of life?
Well, first of all, these people who I feel, you know, very bad for, a lot of them are veterans like myself. I really believe they need an alternative. If most people knew what really happened, so at crossroads and places like that, they have to leave by a certain time. Where are these people going if you don't have a home? Okay, we need places like on Broad Street, Elmwood Ave, the East Side, different places for them to go into. So that's why one of my programs, and not to reveal much of my platform because we're still working on it, but we definitely know we're going to offer, you know, services in lieu of taxes. So if people come out and open their places that are closed during the day, maybe they'll open up their coffee shop and let the people come in and sit and watch TV, have a cup of coffee. It's pennies on the dollar, okay? But here we go. Now we'll improve the traffic coming through downtown and things like that. Churches, community centers, they should be open during the day. There's no kids there. There's no, you know, people there worshiping. Why aren't these places open?
Probably the most important question, I touched on it before you came on. Kobi Dennis, one of the all-time. How is he doing?
Kobi Dennis is doing great. That's my uncle.
How old is he now?
Oh, Kobi's well into his 50s, late 50s.
Okay, if you and he played one-on-one today, who would win that?
He would still win.
He would still school you.
He would still school me. He's a legend.
If you don't know it, like Mount Hockey, Central High School basketball under Coach Adams during the 60s, 70s, and even into the early 80s was one of the most dominant sports teams ever to hit Rhode Island. Maybe Coventry Wrestling, just pulling another one out. And then all of them went up and played up on Smith Street in one of the best summer leagues of all time.
Providence League was great.
And it really was, you know, Marvin Barnes and all those guys coming out of Central really were a sense of pride to the city. How do we restore that? You know, the Providence high schools are not what they used to be in things like arts, music, music's barely even in the system, and in athletics.
There's no feeder programs, Josh, at all. After school, you know what these kids do? They go hang in the street. The recreation centers are a joke. Okay, go to any recreation center right now, and I guarantee you, even though we're talking about basketball, that's all they'll play. There's no chess team. You know, there's no girls, you know, club. All that. You'll go online, it will look beautiful, almost like the 1,000-day video. It looked like Providence was the best place in the world to live. That's not true. All right, you go into these places, which I do because I live in the inner city. You go in these places and the same thing's going on, and we need more things for these kids to do. Feeder programs to help. We need a chess club. We need debate teams. We need, you know, football teams for the kids that, you know, intramural stuff, for the kids that don't make the varsity team, things like that. That's how we'll get it to a respectable level where we'll start putting kids in the pros and people from people will go to Providence College. How many kids from Providence go play for Ed Cooley?
Yeah.
I haven't known since Abdullah. You know, there's none. So we need to fix that.
Kobi, listen, you're going to be on here over the next year plus numerous times. We really appreciate you coming on right as you kick off and keep us abreast. you know, we're here to serve everybody in the city of Providence, the mayor included,
Right.
in getting the message out to best serve people. So, you know, keep everybody in mind and keep the messages going. I want to thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations
Thanks a
for
lot.
jumping into the